The war had consumed the galaxy for centuries, its origins lost in the fog of time. Rival factions, once bound by tenuous alliances, had splintered into bitter enemies, each seeking dominion over the stars. One side, the humans, had recently emerged as a formidable power in the cosmos, their resilience and adaptability making them an indispensable force in the interstellar struggle. The other, the Kroth, a technologically superior and fiercely territorial species, had never known defeat, their sprawling empire a symbol of order and control. Amidst this endless conflict, far from the battlegrounds of starships and the endless strategies of high command, there was a love that defied the universe's rules. It was a love that flourished in the darkest corners of space, where secret rendezvous were the only safety, where every moment of affection was dangerous, and where betrayal lurked at every turn. A human, Mara Denton, and a Kroth named Ryaka, an engineer and a diplomat respectively, had found each other in a place where their worlds should have never collided, a forbidden romance that would threaten both their lives and the future of their people. Mara had never believed in the stories of the Kroth. Raised on the harsh streets of Earth's outer colonies, she had seen the devastation the Kroth had wrought on entire planets, leaving nothing but ashes in their wake. She had heard the tales of their cold efficiency, their ruthless nature, and their unshakable belief in the superiority of their race. As a member of the Human Defense Coalition, a group formed to defend the rapidly expanding human territories, Mara had seen firsthand the destruction they could bring. And yet, when she met Ryaka, none of that mattered. She had been stationed on the fringes of the war, assigned to a research station near a neutral zone, an area where skirmishes had become commonplace. It was there that she first encountered Ryaka. It had been an accident, one of those moments when the world shifts without warning. Mara had been working late in the station's lab, calibrating equipment for a new weapon designed to turn the tide of the war. The research was groundbreaking human ingenuity at its finest, but it was also volatile, the kind of technology that could destroy entire fleets in an instant. She had just finished the last set of calculations when the station's alarm blared. A Kroth ship had entered the area, and Mara, like the rest of her crew, scrambled to prepare for the inevitable confrontation. But it wasn't a battle Mara found herself in, it was a negotiation. Ryaka was part of a diplomatic envoy sent to intercept human technology, to bring it under Kroth control. The human government had long hoped that the two sides could negotiate a peace, but deep in the heart of their respective militaries, no one truly believed it was possible. So, Ryaka's arrival wasn't a surprise, but his approach was. He didn't come with weapons or demands. He came with the same calculated calmness that marked the Kroth as one of the galaxy's most feared civilizations, but there was something else in his eyes, something unexpected. There was curiosity. For a brief moment, their gazes met across the room, a fleeting connection that both of them would remember long after. The encounter should have been brief. Ryaka was there on official business, and Mara was a soldier, part of the force guarding humanity's secrets. But there was something about the way Ryaka spoke, his voice smooth and measured, his alien form so different from everything Mara had known, that intrigued her. He didn't seem like the monster she had been taught to hate. Instead, there was an intelligence in his gaze, an understanding of the delicate balance between power and diplomacy that Mara respected. When they spoke, it wasn't about war or tactics. It was about the things that neither of them had expected to find, questions about each other's cultures, curiosity about the universe, and a fleeting understanding that there was more to the war than simply being right. Their brief exchange was the spark that ignited a fire neither of them could have anticipated. After that first meeting, they began to find more opportunities to meet in secret, hidden away from the watchful eyes of their respective factions. They spoke about everything and nothing, weaving their worlds together in a series of stolen moments, from the halls of the research station to the shadowed corridors of enemy ships. They discussed the war in whispers, the cost of bloodshed, and the reality of what it meant to be caught in the gears of such a massive conflict. As their friendship grew, so too did their feelings. But they both knew it could never be more than that. Not in the galaxy they inhabited. Mara had been trained to fight, not to love. And Ryaka, though outwardly calm, was bound by the expectations of his people. The Croth had no concept of romantic attachment as humans did. Relationships were formed through alliances and pragmatic necessity. Love was not part of their structure. Yet Ryaka began to question everything. He had always been told that humanity was weak, that humans were nothing more than impulsive creatures driven by emotion. But in Mara, he saw a different side. He saw strength in her vulnerability, intelligence in her curiosity, and determination in her refusal to accept the world as it was. And in her, he began to see the possibility of a future that neither of their people would ever accept. It was dangerous, what they were doing. Mara knew it. Ryaka knew it. Yet, neither could resist the pull. The first kiss came on a night when the station's alarms had gone off for the umpteenth time. The two of them had met to discuss the latest developments. Tensions between their people had escalated once again, and the war had flared up. But their words had become more heated, not from political debate, but from something deeper. The kiss was sudden, unexpected, but it felt like the only natural thing in the universe. It wasn't a symbol of rebellion, nor was it an act of desperation. It was an acknowledgement of something far more fundamental. They were no longer just enemies. They were two beings who had discovered something that transcended the war, the boundaries of their species, and the fears that divided them. From that moment on, there was no turning back. Their secret meetings became more frequent, more urgent. They spoke less of the war and more of the future. They dreamed of a galaxy where their people could live without the shadow of conflict, where humanity and the Croth could work together rather than destroy one another. But those dreams were fragile. The war was never far away, and the galaxy was not a place for such impossible hopes. The risks grew with every passing day. Mara had to constantly evade the watchful eyes of the Human Defense Coalition. Her loyalty was never questioned. She was a soldier, after all. But the whispers of rebellion, of espionage, were becoming harder to ignore. And Ryaka, despite his diplomatic rank, was bound by his people's traditions. His love for Mara was a betrayal in their eyes, an act of disloyalty that could cost him everything. One day, after weeks of planning, Mara and Ryaka made a choice. They could no longer live in the shadows of the war, in the secrecy of their love. They would flee together, far from the chaos that had defined their lives. They would leave everything behind: family, duty, their civilizations, and find a place where they could exist without the burden of their people's hatred. It was an impossible dream, one that would require them to trust each other in ways that neither had ever done before. But it was the only hope they had left. Their escape was not easy. They had to evade both human and Croth forces, carefully navigating the dangerous terrain of political intrigue and military might. With every step, they knew the consequences. If they were caught, they would be branded as traitors, enemies of the state. Mara would be executed, and Ryaka would face the wrath of his people. But in the end, it didn't matter. They had chosen each other. The escape took them across the galaxy, from neutral zones to forgotten worlds, hiding in plain sight among the debris of old star systems and abandoned colonies. But even in the farthest reaches of space, the war followed them. Mara and Ryaka were hunted by both sides, forced to remain in the shadows, their love a constant reminder of the price they paid for defying the universe's rules. Yet, even in the face of overwhelming odds, they found solace in each other. In the quiet moments between star systems, they shared dreams of a world where their love would not be a crime, where they could build something new, something free of the war that had torn their people apart. But the universe is vast, and it is filled with those who would never allow such a dream to come to fruition. As they neared a distant star system, a place where they hoped to find sanctuary, they were confronted by a fleet of Croth ships. The standoff was inevitable. The war had come for them, and their love had become a symbol of the very thing their people could not accept. It was a bitter irony, two beings, once enemies, now forced to fight for the love that had brought them together. In the end, their fight was not for survival, it was for each other. The war would never cease, but Mara and Ryaka knew that their love, as forbidden as it was, had given them something the universe could not take away. Even in the face of destruction, they stood together, united by a bond that transcended the stars themselves. And in that final, fleeting moment before the darkness took them, they knew one thing for certain: love, no matter how forbidden, was the one thing that could never be destroyed.